Hello to our lovely viewers. Welcome to the Real Talk Show right here on the Youth Platform page. So today I'm your host, Mwene Brian, and we're focusing on a topic that's centrally in living a full and healthy life with HIV. So today's topic is the importance of retention in HIV care. What does it mean to return to care? How can one, how can we as a community support each other to stay strong and connected? We want to hear from your stories. We want to hear from your advice. You can kindly send us a text message or just simply drop us a text right here on this show. So today I'm joined by a wonderful panel of guests. So I have Agnes Mbewe as well as Mubanga. Agnes Mbewe is the in charge of RT department. So she'll give us the insight of how the facility is doing with retention. And Mubanga is a young person who is living with HIV. Want to hear from him what how the journey has been. Mubanga and Agnes, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Agnes Mbewe, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, guys. So, like I mentioned to you, that today we'll be talking about the importance of retention in HIV care. So, I'll start with you, Mrs. Mbewe, the RT facility in charge. So, from a medical and a facility perspective, can you clearly define what retention in care means and why is it so critical for a young person's long-term health?
Okay, thank you so much, Brian. I think to start with, people who are living with HIV need to be in care not because they it's an obligation, but because we want to take care of them and see how good their health is. So, simply meaning retention in care refers to the consistent engagement of individuals, particularly the young people, in their HIV treatment and care plan. This includes their regular clinic visits, their adherence to treatment, and also ongoing monitoring of their health. You asked why this is important. I think why they should remain in care, why it's critical for long term good health. Retention in care is an essential maintaining viral suppression activity where we want somebody to be virally suppressed. What we mean is by them taking their drugs at the right time, right drug, right dosage, and for the right person, meaning we have the five rights. So if somebody is taking a wrong drug, you do not expect them to suppress virally. So somebody who's living with HIV, they need to take their drugs correctly and consistently for them to be suppressed. It also prevents the future transmission of the infection. Why do I say so? These young people are still growing and we need to maintain them in care. So what do we want? By 2030, we do not want to have any new HIV infections. That's why we are in support of the U equals to U, meaning we do not want any more transmission amongst the young people, those living with HIV.
Thank you so much, Agnes Mbewe, on that overview to say young people, it is important for them to retain to care because we want their viral load to be suppressed. And I love the five aspects that you mentioned. You mentioned about the right dose and the right time, and that will help them to suppress their viral load. So I want to find out from you again how the experience has been working as the facility ART in charge. How has it been working with the young people? You know, young people are people that have got different needs, but when it comes to ART, how has it been working with the young people?
So working with adolescents and young people is an interesting experience. Reason being, each one has their own unique stories. They have a unique thing about them being on treatment. So it's both a challenge and a learning time. You have to understand them and know who really they are for you to help them. For instance, you have a situation where this adolescent does not want to take their drugs because they feel they are being stigmatized by every other person. Of course, stigma starts within themselves. So you have to break them to see if really it's them that are stigmatizing themselves or it's the society that is stigmatized, discriminating them. So it's entirely a thing where you have to be a person who understands who is your patient and what are you doing for them.
Thank you so much. Indeed, it is very important to understand them as they are. As young people, we've got different needs depending on our backgrounds and what is going on with us, and understanding what each and every person needs. In this case, the young people will also be a critical role in this topic. So, what are some of the most common reasons young people drop out of care, and what specific practical step does the facility take to help them overcome these challenges? So, many are the times where young people, because sometimes maybe they might just feel burdened and they will just drop out of care. But what does the facility do in order to trace them and bring them back?
Okay, so some of the common reasons why they are dropping out of care: one, there's stigma, which can be self or from the community; discrimination from the community; lack of social support. There is no one who is there to support them. To start with, for this client to be tested for HIV, they are an adolescent, so they need somebody to escort them to the facility. So that person, are they willing to support them throughout their treatment plan? The other thing is forgetfulness and lack of routines. So these adolescents, they've got a lot going on in their minds. So how are we going to help them? Why are they forgetting to take their drugs? So you need to come up with a plan in order to help them. Common side effects for the drugs. All drugs have got side effects. So ARVs are not an exception. So you need to have to prepare them for the side effects as well as they are starting their treatment. At every visit, you ask them if they had any challenges pertaining to their drugs or anything that would have hindered them from taking their drugs. Then we also have clinical related issues such as long waiting time. Of course, right now things have become better. Previously, we had situations where people would come to the clinic as early as 04 and leave as late as 19 hours. But now, with the coming in of partners who have introduced the DSD plus models, I think the waiting time has literally reduced. A client is maximum in the clinic for 45 minutes when they come for their ART treatments plans. So, critical steps to overcome the challenges, what we've done as a facility, we have introduced the peer support groups where these adolescents and young people, they meet over the weekend and on Thursdays to discuss how they are taking their drugs, any challenges, what is it that is helping them for each one. When you talk to a person who is going through the same thing that you're going through, it becomes easier, it becomes a lighter burden for one to carry. But here is a person that you've left to go and take the drugs on their own. Whatever happens to them, nobody cares. It's not an easy thing to do alone. So the support group has been very helpful, one of them. Then we also have individual counseling, where one-on-one counseling, where when the adolescent comes in, they have to talk to either the focal point person of the adolescent group or their fellow peers so that they plan on how they are going to help each other on how to take those drugs. Reminders and rescheduling. So, as a facility, we have a schedule where we are calling our clients every 7 days, 2 days, and on the actual day. And that has been very helpful because if somebody calls me 7 days before to say you are coming next week on the say on the 10th or 17th, I'll have a plan to say on the 17th I have to go to the clinic. 2 days before, they'll call me again and say you have to come to the clinic the day after tomorrow, meaning I would have prepared myself and made up a plan of how I'm going to schedule my plans for that day. The other thing is the youth friendly services. which the facility is offering. We have a youth-friendly space at the facility, and usually fellow adolescents who are on ART are the ones in that space to talk to their fellow peers and to help them in case they need any other service other than what the ART block is offering. I think that's what we've done so far as a facility. And also including the outreach programs that we are doing in order to reach out to those that are failed in care.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Mbewe, for that, which the facility is doing. I think as a facility, you're doing well. And I think one of the few points that I've noted is that you are creating safe space, the HIV support group, where young people, they meet with different young people where they're able to share their difficulties, their challenges, their stories. I think that is a very good scenario. That's a very good initiative that as a facility are using, where young people, when they meet as young people alone, they're able to share some of the issues that they cannot share with their parents, and also maybe even with the health workers. And to those young people that sometimes may feel overwhelmed or struggling to stay in care, or reach out to support at your facility without feeling judged. So, what is the best way to ask for help? Yes, there are those young people that have got these difficulties or challenges to reach to the facility. How do they seek help?
Okay, so to start with, when you have a client who's new in care, this is an adolescent we are talking about, you have to assure them of confidentiality. They should be safe to know to say whatever information they're going to share with either you, the healthcare provider, or any other person found in the facility is going to remain between the two of you. In cases where you have to involve another person, you need to seek consent from them to say, can I involve somebody else who's going to help me in this area of specialty or in this package? So confidentiality is number one priority for us to win those clients in care.
Mhm.
Secondly, open communication. Whenever this adolescent has a challenge, they should be able to reach out to me or any other person without them struggling and find a solution to their problems. For instance, those who forget to take their drugs, how am I going to help them? I think I've had a number of them giving me time that they are taking drugs. It's up to me to help them to say, okay, I'll call you 5 minutes before the time is right so that I help you and we also help ourselves to say we maintain her in care and like we lose her. So sometimes it takes an extra sacrifice for you to win that person to be on care. Then support hotlines. I think we have hotlines where people are calling to ask for guidance or whatever from the, I think they are mostly free. So those people are there. You can call them and they'll answer you and give you guidance or refer you to the nearest facility if they can't give you help that you really need. I think those are some of the platforms that we've used.
Thank you so much. I think with those young people that are in different places, if they want to seek help, I think they would reach out. It could be through the hotlines, or even just assuring them the confidentiality when they visit your facility. Mubanga, my guy, you've been quiet and too serious. Can you please maybe smile for Yeah, so from you, Mubanga, thank you so much for coming here, for being here with us today on the Real Talk Show. And
Yeah, thank
I would love to find out from you what was your initial experience of learning your HIV status and starting treatment. How was it like? And what motivated you to stay in care?
okay. Like someone like like when it comes to HIV status, something is a game change in life. So I wouldn't say that it was easy, but the struggles, but with the help of retention and everything, I've managed to come here. So I've like most of the times usually advise other young people to say, look, HIV is just a status and you can go through it no matter what happens. So for me, during my journey, being someone who's HIV positive, during my journey it was somehow a difficult thing, a difficult time because my time there wasn't there were not young people like on the clinics, no young people, no peer educators at the clinics. There were
Mhm.
no, let me say like no retention programs. So it was somehow a thing whereby it was hard for a young person to get to services, and it was hard for a young person to be somewhere where they can say follow their adherence and also know their to have knowledge about the same status that they have. So it was somehow a bit sketchy, but we managed with due challenges. I managed with some challenges. I managed. So I for now I'm saying like I'm an advocate for adolescent young people who are living with HIV and a lot of things. I'm an advocate for that. We even created an organization which focuses on young people who are living with HIV, and those ones who are like they're living with HIV, but they don't know why they're drinking that medication. They haven't known their status yet. So I'm in Eastern Province. So I and myself and my team we usually look after at those adolescents from who are HIV positive, but they don't know why they're taking their medication. They don't understand what is their status all about. So we just come, we know like this thing, we say we have to take a step as young people. We have to take a step. We don't have to leave it to the big elder people, maybe to the anyone else elder enough to say. But as young people have to take a step for us to change our generation and not to change the community. As young person, the one thing that I've come to learn about us young people, we have little number of people whom we can go to seek for advice or maybe to seek for treatment because we like to how to hide ourselves in a small sake whereby we just have to figure it out ourselves. So in that journey whereby I was in hiding, I've also been in a way whereby I was hiding myself, figuring out to say I will do it by my own. But these things you can say like you can never achieve anything by your own. They say it like that. You can never achieve a thing by your own. So retention really helps young people according to reminding them about their appointment dates, and also like as I said, like we have an organization. In our organization, we usually have my lines for those young people who are on treatment. We usually remind them what time they are going to take their medication. We call them like, okay, if you are taking your medication on 19 hours, we will definitely call you at 18:50 to say, your time will be just soon. You have to take your medication. You get text when us young people step in to help other young persons, even that young person who's suffering from maybe disclosure is having some challenges with acceptance their status, listening for another person, another young person, calling them say no, you have to take your drugs this time and this time. That care is even make a difference. It makes a difference for a young person to hear that from another young person who's caring about that, who's also understanding about their own status, who can share the same story that that person is going through. We can also understand the situation.
Thank you so much, Mubanga. Indeed, you're doing a very, very good job where your organization, as young people, you are able to educate, to motivate other young people that are living with HIV. You are able to remind them when they're supposed to take their medication, how they're supposed to take their medication, and also the importance of taking their medication. That is really a good job that you're doing. And I'd also love to find out you mentioned about at your time, I don't know how old you are. You mentioned at your time at the health facilities, you just had health workers that you had a very big age difference. They are elderly and you're a young person. So now that this narrative is changing, we have people like you that are there to advocate for other young people. How the young people compared to your time are able to access these services, knowing that when they go to the health facility, they are going to find a fellow young person. It could be a peer educator or a health worker who is of their same age group.
All right. So back then, where there were no PhDs, no young persons on the facility whereby they can help out on this side, getting services. Usually there were adolescents, they were coming adolescents whereby they come to the services, but they will be in a closed space whereby they could not express themselves. Like for young person to come to the facility to access for the medicine, they have to feel comfortable. They have to feel at home. That's where the space whereby people they know their deeper secrets. So a young person have to feel at home and feel they can express themselves. So back then, yeah, they were doing a good job. Elderly people were doing a good job. I can't lie. Were doing a good job, but as a young person, to somehow drawing them back because they cannot express what they are going through to that elderly person. They'll just say no. When they ask, "Are you taking your medication correctly?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm taking my medication correctly." Oh no, this and this. But if you are interacting with a young person, a PhD, when you ask like, "Are you taking your medication correctly?" The young person will say, when did you go and visit your girlfriend? What time did you go and visit your girlfriend? You get that? So that that person can underline the time of that person taking medication and also the person what time is going to visit that girlfriend. In that talk, the young person will feel comfortable and say, "Ah, you know what? At this time, I think I've missed my medication. I didn't take my medication correctly, or maybe I missed the time because that person has opened up, say no, talking about something later about girlfriends or maybe about boyfriends, and that person will be feeling comfortable, say, okay, I can share everything to this person because it's the same person. Like we are both young. We can what he's passing through, I'm also passing through the same. So back then, yeah, elderly people were saying, yeah, they were asking, but most of the people they want to say something that the elderly person wants to hear. No, are you taking your medication correct? Yes, I'm taking my medication correct. What time do you take your medication? No, at 19 hours. The interaction ends there. But when we are talking to a young person, like now, according to my experience, when I'm talking to my fellow young person who's on ART treatment, when I ask like, what time are you taking your medication? Or maybe if I notice that the viral load is going up and we are having interaction, because we usually have one-on-one sessions whereby if you see a young person is having challenges to his viral load, his or her viral load, we usually have an interaction whereby we figure out what's the challenge there, so that where he or she is having some challenge, I can help out, give him some ideas, or maybe how they can take their medication correctly. So we have that kind of interaction where we call it one-on-one session, where that person will sit down in closed doors, just the two of us, where we can talk and express what we are feeling about the treatment. If there's anything that maybe at home they have been mistreated, or maybe at home their relatives that are scolding them about their medications, that person can feel free to open up to me as a younger person. To open up to me, say, okay, this person, I think he understands because of the certain how I will start the conversation with. Because as I said earlier, there's no that I said that if I'm talking to a young person, I won't just hit the straight to say no. What time are you getting your medication? Or maybe when is your next appointment? I'll just say, oh hi, how are you? How's your girlfriend? You get right. When you ask someone how's your girlfriend, maybe he doesn't have or she doesn't have a boyfriend yet. He or she, he will open up. Say, oh, I don't have a boyfriend. Or maybe my girlfriend, this and this. He will start sharing a little bit of experience of his girlfriend or maybe his or her boyfriend. After that, that's when I'll say, okay, what time are you taking your medication? For that interaction, that person will feel comfortable to say, okay, I can tell this person that, okay, I'm having some challenges when I take my drugs. I usually feel as if like I want to vomit. Most of the time when I take my drugs, maybe I usually feel like I don't want to eat anything. Or maybe I feel nausea, I feel this and this. That person will say, okay, that's the reason why this person viral load is going up. Because of that interaction and you are feeling comfortable. That younger person is feeling comfortable to interact with the younger person as well.
Thank you so much, Mubanga. So from what you mentioned, I also got a point where you mentioned about young people unable to disclose because they fear to be judged. And that brings me to a point of stigma. I believe there's a lot of stigma around HIV, but as yourself, how has stigma affected your journey and what have you done to combat it in both within yourself and in your community?
Come again, I just missed it there.
So you mentioned about young people unable to disclose their status and also not being free because they fear to be judged. It could be by family members or just by friends. And that also speaks to stigma. So I'd love to find out from you, how have you managed how has stigma affected you in your journey, and how have you, what have you done to combat it in both within yourself and in your community?
Okay, thank you. So I would say like stigma is something that is hard to, according to us young people, according to a young person who's living with HIV, that stigma will continue to happen like in every time that stigma will continue to have it. But the one thing that that you can just ignore or what I've used is to know myself and to know my goals and to know what I'm aiming in life. So if you ask me like what really helped me out, maybe in the community or maybe I can say through personal stigma, because a lot of things, even if I'm having this chat here, there will be a stigma that someone will just maybe a comment so that you get right. Someone maybe who knows me like, oh, are you HIV positive? Oh, that you get. So stigma is more like it will continue repeatedly itself. The only thing that you can do is just to know yourself and know what you are aiming in life. So as for me, what really triggers me say, okay, I don't have to put anything else to stigma because of the journey that I'm about to take now. I want to start in a gap whereby other young people can see, okay, can see a shoulder to lean on. Say, okay, this person is opening up on this and this and these areas. I can go to this person where I want, when I want help, or maybe when I want advice to these areas. That's the one thing why I've just decided to open up. I've decided to open up because I know a number of people are hiding. Most of the people are hiding like the status of HIV. Because as for me, I don't really take it like that bad because I see it is a superpower. I may say so. I usually say it's a superpower because if you just sit down and look at yourself, okay, when I was I sick, maybe when was I sick with malaria, or maybe when was I sick with any sickness, the only sickness that someone who's living with HIV can have is a cough. It's a cough and so other things. So that thing really giving me a courage saying, okay, this thing is somehow a superpower to yourself. That is somehow a booster to myself. Say, okay, this is a superpower. So what can I do for other young people to notice it? You say, look, let's not look at it as it's a death sentence because most of the time it's a death sentence. I've reached that state whereby I was thinking that it's a death sentence. But after I know myself, okay, what am I aiming in life? Because I am who I am because God knows me that I'm here to play a role for something else in life. So that's a thing that really comes, okay, I'm like this because God wants me to be like this. If I wasn't like this verse in the Bible say that God knows you when even you haven't been born yet. So everything that you're passing through is God's will. So I just have to accept it and find my superpower of this. I say, okay, let me trigger it to something that I can create something where I can say it is for our own benefits, like for young people's benefit. That's why I've just come up with opening an organization and also opening a podcast. Where a podcast we usually address a lot of situations like HIV, we address teenage pregnancy so that young people they can feel free to watch. Either maybe they are in their rooms or maybe they are hiding themselves somewhere. They can go to the media lives, just the same as the real talk show. But ours is just called it adolescent and youth podcast, where we have a lot of discussion about HIV. Some other people they will come like let me say I want to open up but don't show my face. They'll give out their opening up. They say, oh, I'm on this and this and this. And then that's when you say that we are also helping young persons out there whereby when they see those videos, when they see someone else is opening up and sharing the experience and sharing the importance of going to the facility and sharing the importance of visiting the youth-friendly meetings.
Thank you so much, Muvanga, for that great work that you are doing to ensuring that you bring the young people together and also to speak out for those that cannot speak for themselves. So in case you're joining us now, this is the Real Talk Show. And this episode is brought to you by the Youth Prevention Advocacy Campaign, YPAC, which is supported by AIDS Healthcare Foundation Zambia. So coming to you, Mrs. Mbewe, you've been too quiet. I want to ask you this question. So beyond simply taking medication, what are some key indicators that a young person is successfully engaged in their care, and how does your team work with them to achieve viral load suppression?
Thank you so much, Brian, for that question. I think a successful engagement, something that will make me proud as a nurse who's heading the ART department. I think when my client is virally suppressed, I would be the happiest because I would know to say my client is taking their medication rightly at the right time with the right dosage and consistently and correctly at the same time.
Mhm.
Two, the other thing that will make me happy when they adhere to their medication, meaning they follow their appointment times. Once they're given an appointment, they keep it, they come to the facility, and when you ask them if they have any challenges, they give you positive results, you know to say your client is doing fine. Also, in case they are called for anything that has to do with their healthy and they are available to attend to that call, I think that's a plus for me with a client. So what we've done, what are the practical tips for managing our clients? One, we are using the reminders, which I already talked about, with either the client comes with a phone, we set a reminder for them on the phone, or they tell somebody who is their buddy, somebody that they can trust with their status, to say it will be between the two of them who's going to be reminding them to take their medication. One, we create a routine. That's establishing a daily routine to include taking medication and attending clinical visits. So, what are we doing? Mostly these clients are given drugs according to their plans. So, we have plans for those who are starting, which are 2 weeks, 2 weeks, monthly, then every 3 months until they reach where they're enrolled into a DSD model where they can get for 6 months, or we indicate where we have to attach a CBV to them so that they go and give them drugs. There are those clients who are very difficult, whereby they say, I can't take these drugs alone. A CBV will be attached to them, who is going to be there on a daily basis to make sure that they take their drugs correctly and also at the right time. The other thing is staying connected. So regular communication with healthcare providers and the peers. So that's why we have the support groups where we have to meet them over the weekend or during the week, depending on our schedules, so that we talk to them, we hear their views, and see how best we can help each other, both helping us and us helping them in order to achieve a good lifestyle for them.
Thank you so much for all those efforts that you're doing as a facility. And indeed, when your client has a viral load which is suppressed, you're happy, and the country is also happy. And you also mentioned about undetectable is equals to untransmissible, U equals to U. What does that mean? And what does it mean for the future of the young people living with HIV?
So U equals U, which is undetectable equals untransmittable. This is just a powerful motivator for me. It's something that should motivate somebody to say, if I achieve this, meaning I have a healthy life ahead of me. Being positive does not mean it's the end of the world. It's actually a beginning of a new phase in life. Why do I say that? You are better knowing your status to say you are positive, unlike you wait for a time where they'll bring you in a wheelchair or in a almost close to the mortuary time where you don't know what is happening to you. Even when they are testing you, they even know to say this one will be positive, but we'll not start them on ARVs because of the way they are looking. We'll have to look for what has HIV done to them for us to bring them back to life. So U equals U, meaning this person has suppressed, they're virally suppressed, they're taking their drugs rightly, and it's a good thing. So that's one of the motivation that somebody should have to say, I have to achieve this goal at the end of me taking my drugs at the time that I'm on treatment. The other thing, future implication, achieving and maintaining undetectable viral load can significantly improve the young person's life. I mentioned earlier, I think, to say one of the goals that we have is to achieve zero new infections by 2030. Why do I say that? We do not want a situation where somebody tests positive. When we do a recent test, we find that this is a recent infection, an infection that happened maybe about less than 6 months ago. We want to avoid that. We want to have zero new infections of HIV, meaning all those living with HIV should know their HIV status. All those who know their HIV status should be on medication. All those who are on medication should have a suppressed viral load. For us to attain this suppressed viral load, meaning we have achieved the 95, 95, 95 of our set goals. Meaning by 2030, we will not have any new infections amongst the young people.
Thank you so much. So U equals to U basically means if you can't detect it, it means you cannot transmit it to the next person. Thank you so much. And to you, Mubanga, under 1 minute, in the interest of time, what does this idea of U equals to U mean to you, and how has it influenced your commitment to treatment?
Okay, thank you. So U equals U is somehow, I may say, it's an anthem whereby you can sing it where people they can say once they say U equals U, untransmittable and detectable. It's somehow you put up a goal onto that. Say, okay, I want to reach up this goal whereby it's to be untransmittable and also undetectable. Every young person who's living with HIV would want their viral load to be undetectable. So once you say U equals U, we even have an energizer for U equals U in our U friendly spaces. We usually do it like most of the times. We U equals U. There's that energizer whereby you sing together with your young people. So U equals U related to undetectable. So we that is more than is an aim whereby in each and every young person is supposed to target on that to be undetectable and also untransmittable. Because sometimes when you say you equals you, it give out a courage. Say, okay, I can also do it. If that person did it, I can also be. I can also do it. My viral can also be can go down, can be undetectable. So that thing is mostly a thumbs up for young person when you say you equals you. It goes like that. Thank you.
Mubanga, under 1 minute, in the interest of time, and this is the last thing I'm asking you. I want you maybe to sing that anthem so that I too and Mbewe can also know it. We take it also to the young people. Under 1 minute, please, in the interest of time.
Although you want me to sing out the you equals you energizer.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. So you equals you somehow you clap out of it. When I say you equals you clap together, and then they say undetectable and transmittable, something like that.
Oh,
So it sounds the
oh,
most more fun once it's in the group.
okay, okay. So that is really good. I think we'll do it. Let's just hear under 30 seconds the last words from Mbewe. Then we do the anthem and we end the show in the interest of time. Yes, Madam Mbewe, any last words under 30 seconds, please?
They say if you are not infected, you are affected. So it doesn't matter whether you are living negatively or living positively, we are still one Zambia, one nation. And we are here to achieve the same goals at the end of the day.
Thank you so much, Madam Bewe, and thank you so much, Muwanga, for joining me today on this episode of the Real Talk Show. So today we are talking about the importance of retention um, in HIV care. And this episode was brought to you by the Youth Prevention Advocacy Campaign YPAC project, which is supported by AHF Zambia. And to conclude the show, like I mentioned, Muwanga are going to lead us through the club, then we can close.
All right. So when I said you equals you clap, just say undetectable and transmittable.
Okay,
All
I
right,
hope
let's
you've
do
gotten
it.
it.
Yes, I have.
Okay, let's do it again. So you equals you, undetectable and
Undetectable
transmittable.
and transmissible. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Join us next week, our dear viewers, right here on this same time on the Youth Platform page. Thank you so much. See you next week.
thank you.
Thank you.